Have you ever seen a man survive an explosion, outrun death, and turn an entire army into prey, all because they stole his gold? That's exactly what happens in Sisu, a brutal, adrenaline-fueled survival thriller that feels like John Wick mixed with a World War nightmare. And trust me, this is not just another war movie. This is the kind of film where every second feels dangerous. Every sound matters. Every silence feels terrifying. Because the man at the center of this story isn't just a soldier. He's a legend, a ghost, a one-man apocalypse. Today, we're diving deep into the full story of Sisu explained in simple English, with a complete movie breakdown, hidden meanings, intense moments, and a full review of why this movie shocked audiences around the world. But before we begin, imagine surviving an entire war only to face your deadliest battle after finding gold. That's where our story starts. The movie throws us straight into the dark and brutal landscapes of Lapland, Finland, during the final days of World War II. The land looks empty, cold, lifeless. Burned villages, destroyed roads, smoke everywhere. The Nazis are retreating, but before leaving, they destroy everything behind them. This scorched earth strategy turns the entire region into hell. And somewhere in this dead land rides a lonely old man with a horse and a dog. No army, no family, no fear. At first glance, he looks harmless. But the movie immediately gives us a strange feeling about him. The silence around him feels heavy, almost like nature itself knows who he is. His name is Tommila Korpi, a former Finnish commando. And according to whispers in the movie, he once killed hundreds of enemy soldiers during war. Alone, people stopped calling him a man a long time ago. They started calling him something else, an immortal. But here's the twist. Tommila isn't looking for revenge. He isn't hunting Nazis. He isn't trying to save the world. He just wants peace. After years of bloodshed, he spends his days digging through the wilderness searching for gold. Quietly, patiently, like a man trying to bury his past. Then one day, everything changes. While digging through the dirt with his pickaxe, Tommila suddenly notices something shining beneath the ground. At first, it's tiny. Then more appears. And more. His breathing changes. His hands shake. Because he realizes he has just discovered an enormous deposit of gold. Enough gold to change his life forever. Enough gold to finally escape war. For the first time in the entire movie, we see hope in his eyes. But hope doesn't last long in a movie like Sisu. Because somewhere nearby, a group of retreating Nazi soldiers is heading straight toward him. And these men are not ordinary soldiers. They are exhausted, angry, violent, and desperate. Led by a ruthless officer named Bruno Heldorf, they've already committed countless war crimes during their retreat across Finland. They burn homes, execute civilians, destroy everything they touch. And now, they're about to cross paths with the wrong man. Tommila carefully packs his gold and begins traveling across the dangerous wilderness, hoping to reach the nearest town and cash it in before anyone notices. But fate has other plans. Soon, Nazi vehicles appear in the distance. Dust rises into the air. Engines roar across the empty land. And the tension becomes unbearable. The soldiers stop him. Bruno stares at the old man suspiciously. He notices the horse, the equipment, the heavy bags. Something feels off. But Tommila says almost nothing. That silence? It's terrifying. Because deep down, you can already feel it. These Nazis have no idea who they're dealing with. And this is where things get interesting. Bruno allows him to leave at first. But one soldier discovers traces of gold. That single moment changes everything. Greed takes over. The Nazis decide to steal the gold for themselves. Easy money. Easy target. Or at least, that's what they think. What happens next will shock you, because the moment they try taking his gold, they accidentally awaken a monster created by war itself. And in the next part of this Sisu full story explanation, the hunt begins. The moment the Nazis decide to steal Tommy's gold, the atmosphere of the movie completely changes. Until now, Sisu felt tense and mysterious. But now, it becomes pure survival horror. Because these soldiers think they're robbing a tired old miner. In reality, they just declared war on the deadliest man in Finland. As Tommy continues riding through the wilderness, a small Nazi squad follows him from behind. Their mission seems simple: kill the old man, take the gold, and disappear before the war officially ends. Easy job. At least that's what they believe. The soldiers laugh while chasing him. Some even joke about how quickly this will be over. But there's one thing they don't understand. Tommy isn't running away because he's scared. He's avoiding violence. There's a huge difference. And this is one of the smartest things about the movie explanation in English for Sisu. The film slowly reveals that violence is almost like a curse for Tommy. He knows exactly what he's capable of. He knows once he starts killing again, he may never stop. But then everything changed. One Nazi soldier rides closer and tries grabbing the gold from Tommy's horse. Big mistake. Without warning, Tommy attacks with terrifying speed. The scene happens so fast it feels unreal. A knife flashes. Blood sprays across the air. And within seconds, the first soldier is dead. The others freeze in shock. Because the old man they mocked just moved like a trained assassin. Then comes another kill, and another. Brutal. Precise. Silent. No wasted motion. No hesitation. This isn't a miner fighting for money anymore. This is a war machine waking up after years of silence. The surviving Nazis panic and rush back to report what happened to Bruno Heldorf. At first, Bruno doesn't believe them. One old man killed an armed squad? Impossible. But then the survivors describe how calm Tommy looked while killing. No anger. No fear. Just cold determination. And suddenly, Bruno becomes interested. He asks for the man's name. When they say, Tommy Korpi, the mood changes instantly. Even hardened Nazi soldiers go quiet. Because they've heard stories. Terrible stories. Legends from the battlefield. Stories about a Finnish commando who slaughtered enemy troops alone during impossible missions. A man who refused to die no matter how badly he was wounded. Some soldiers called him Kashiai, an immortal spirit of death. And now Bruno realizes something horrifying. They didn't rob a helpless old man. They robbed a living nightmare. But here's the twist. Instead of backing away, Bruno becomes greedier. He sees the gold as his ticket out of the collapsing war. Germany is losing. The Nazis know it. Everyone is desperate. And Bruno believes that if he can escape with enough gold, he can survive after the war ends. So he orders his entire unit to hunt Tommy down, dead or alive. Meanwhile, Tommy rides deeper into the dangerous wilderness with his horse and loyal dog beside him. These quiet moments are important in the full movie breakdown of Sisu because they humanize him. Underneath all the violence, he's exhausted. You can see the pain in his face. This man has lost everything to war. Friends, purpose, possibly family. The movie never explains every detail directly, and honestly, that makes it even more powerful. The silence tells the story. But peace never lasts long. Soon, Nazi vehicles roar across the landscape again. This time, they come prepared. Machine guns, explosives, more soldiers. And Bruno himself joins the hunt. Tommy realizes escape is no longer possible. So he does something terrifying. He prepares for war. The movie suddenly becomes incredibly tense as Atami studies the environment around him like a predator. Every rock, every hill, every shadow. He turns nature itself into a weapon. Then comes one of the most intense scenes in the entire movie. The Nazis chase him into a massive minefield left behind from earlier battles. The ground itself becomes death. One wrong step. At first, the soldiers stop, unsure how to continue. But Atami? He walks forward calmly, step by step, like he already knows where every mine is buried. The Nazis stare in disbelief. And this is where things get interesting. Atami starts using the mines against them. One soldier explodes instantly. Another loses his legs. Panic spreads everywhere. The scene becomes complete chaos. Fire, screaming, and through it all, Atami moves like a ghost. What makes Sisu explained so satisfying is that every action scene feels creative and brutal at the same time. This isn't flashy superhero combat. It feels raw, painful, animalistic, and yet somehow impossible to look away from. Bruno becomes furious after losing more men. But deep down, fear is slowly taking control. Because no matter what they throw at Atami, he keeps surviving. Bullets miss him. Explosions fail to stop him. Even when injured, he keeps moving forward with terrifying determination. Almost like death itself refuses to touch him. But then, everything suddenly gets worse. Atami loses his horse during the chaos. And for the first time, we see real emotion on his face. Not fear, not anger, sadness. The horse wasn't just transportation. It was one of the last peaceful things left in his life. And now the Nazis have taken that too. That single moment changes the entire direction of the story. Because now, this is no longer about gold. It's personal. And in the next part of this Sisu review and full story explained, Atami begins hunting the Nazis one by one, in ways they never imagined possible. After losing his horse, something inside Atami completely breaks. The quiet old miner disappears, and the monster from the war finally returns. This is the moment in Sisu where the movie transforms from survival thriller into full-blown revenge nightmare. The Nazis still think they have the advantage. More soldiers, more weapons, more vehicles. But they're about to learn a terrifying truth. Numbers mean nothing against a man who has already survived hell. The movie slows down for a moment as Atami walks alone through the burned wilderness. No horse, no backup, just blood on his face and gold strapped to his back. And somehow, he still looks unstoppable. Meanwhile, Bruno Helldorf grows more obsessed with killing him. At first it was about money. Now it's pride. Humiliation. Because every dead Nazi soldier becomes proof that Bruno is losing control. And the more control he loses, the more dangerous he becomes. One of the most chilling parts of this full movie breakdown is how the Nazis start fearing Atami like a supernatural creature. Soldiers whisper about him. Some refuse to continue the chase. Others believe he can't die. And honestly, after what we've seen so far, it's hard to blame them. But here's the twist. Atami isn't invincible. He's just willing to suffer more than anyone else. That's what makes him terrifying. Soon, the Nazis track him near an abandoned wilderness area filled with old war structures and wreckage. Bruno sends another armed squad to finish him once and for all. Big mistake. The next sequence is absolutely brutal. Atami hides silently in the environment like a predator waiting for prey. No dramatic speeches. No loud action hero moments. Just pure instinct. One Nazi soldier walks forward cautiously. Suddenly, Atami strikes from nowhere. The kill is fast and savage. Before the others can react, he disappears again into the terrain. Panic spreads instantly. The soldiers start shooting wildly into empty space. But they can't see him, only hear him. Footsteps, breathing, movement in the shadows. It feels less like they're hunting a man, and more like they entered the territory of a wild animal. Then everything explodes into chaos. Tommy starts eliminating them one by one using knives, traps, and sheer brutality. The movie doesn't glorify violence in a clean Hollywood way. Every fight feels desperate, painful, and that realism makes Sisu Explained so intense to watch. One of the soldiers finally manages to wound Tommy badly. Blood pours from his body. For a moment, it actually seems like this might be the end. But then, Tommy pulls the weapon out himself and keeps fighting. The Nazis are horrified. Because normal people don't do that. Normal people fall. This man keeps moving. And this is where things get interesting. The movie quietly reveals its deeper theme. Sisu is a Finnish concept. It means a kind of impossible determination. The strength to continue even when your body, mind, and soul are completely destroyed. Not courage, not rage, something even stronger. A refusal to quit. Tommy represents that idea perfectly. Every wound would stop another person. Every explosion would kill another soldier. But Tommy keeps standing up again and again. Not because he's superhuman, but because mentally he crossed the limits of fear a long time ago. Meanwhile, Bruno's soldiers continue losing men rapidly. Their confidence is gone. Now every corner feels dangerous. Every silence feels deadly. One scene becomes especially terrifying when the Nazis discover the bodies of their own comrades scattered across the landscape. Some stabbed, some blown apart, some barely recognizable. The message is clear. Tommy is coming for all of them, and he's not stopping. But then the movie introduces another important group. A truck filled with captured women being transported by the Nazis. These women have suffered under Bruno's command for a long time, and they immediately realize something unusual is happening. The soldiers around them are nervous, confused. One of the women overhears the name Tommy Korpi, and even they seem shocked, because legends about him spread far beyond the battlefield. This small detail adds even more weight to his reputation in the movie explanation in English. He's not just feared by enemies. He's known everywhere. But what happens next will shock you. The Nazis finally manage to capture Tommy. After a brutal ambush, they overpower him and drag him back to Bruno. For the first time in the film, the unstoppable warrior is restrained, beaten, exhausted, covered in blood. Bruno walks toward him slowly, trying to understand what kind of man could cause so much destruction alone. And then he asks the question everyone has been thinking. Why won't you die? Tommy says almost nothing, just stares back coldly. That silence? It's more threatening than words, because deep down, Bruno realizes something horrifying. Tommy doesn't fear death anymore, and a man with nothing left to fear is impossible to control. Bruno decides enough is enough. No more games. No more chasing. He orders his soldiers to execute Tommy immediately and dump his body far away. Finally, the nightmare should end. But this is Sisu, and nothing is ever that simple. Because in the next part of this full story explained and movie review, Tommy survives in a way so insane. The Nazis begin believing they're fighting something immortal. The Nazis finally think they've won. Tommy is beaten, tied up, surrounded by armed soldiers. Even Bruno Helldorf starts relaxing for the first time in the movie. After all the chaos, explosions, and dead men, it finally looks over. But the biggest mistake anyone can make in Sisu is assuming Tommy is finished. Because this man survives things that should be impossible. And what happens next feels less like reality and more like a nightmare for the Nazis. Bruno orders his men to take Tommy far away and execute him quietly. No drama, no witnesses, just a bullet and a shallow grave in the wilderness. The soldiers drag him toward a remote area near water, mocking him the entire time. Some laugh, others spit at him, but Tommy says nothing, not a single word. And honestly, that silence becomes terrifying, because the calmer he looks, the worse things usually become. One soldier forces Tommy toward the edge of the water while another prepares to kill him. But then, everything goes wrong. In one sudden movement, Tommy attacks again. Violent, precise. A knife flashes. A soldier drops dead instantly. Another gets pulled into the water. Panic erupts everywhere. But here's the twist. Tommy becomes trapped underwater during the fight. And suddenly, the movie does something insane. One Nazi soldier tries escaping by swimming away, but Tommy grabs him beneath the surface. The struggle underwater becomes brutal and desperate. Then Tommy notices something horrifying. He's running out of oxygen. Most people would panic. Most people would drown. But this is where the full movie breakdown of Sisu becomes completely unforgettable. Tommy does the unthinkable. He slices open the soldier's throat underwater and breathes air through the blood-filled wound like a human oxygen tube. It's horrifying. It's disgusting. And somehow, it's one of the coolest survival moments ever filmed. The scene perfectly shows what kind of person Tommy really is. Not a superhero. Not a perfect action hero. A survivor. A man willing to do absolutely anything to stay alive. And this is where things get interesting. The Nazis start realizing they aren't dealing with normal human endurance anymore. Every time they think he's dead, he comes back, covered in mud, covered in blood, still moving forward, like death rejected him. Meanwhile, Bruno becomes more unstable. You can see the fear growing inside him now. Not open fear, the dangerous kind. The kind men hide behind anger and cruelty. Because deep down, Bruno understands something terrifying. Every soldier he sends after Tommy disappears. Every trap fails. Every plan collapses. And worst of all, the old man never stops coming. Back on the prisoner truck, the captured women begin hearing more stories about the chaos Tommy is causing. For the first time in a long time, hope appears in their eyes. The Nazis who abused and controlled them suddenly seem nervous. Human. This part of the movie explanation in English is subtle but important. Tommy's war against the Nazis starts inspiring others without him even trying. He doesn't give speeches. He doesn't promise justice. He simply refuses to surrender. And that alone changes everything around him. Soon, Bruno's convoy continues traveling through the dangerous terrain while carrying both the gold and the prisoners. But morale among the soldiers is collapsing. Some men want to abandon the mission completely. Others argue that the gold isn't worth it anymore. But Bruno refuses to listen. Greed has consumed him. He would rather lose every soldier than lose the treasure. And honestly, that obsession becomes his biggest weakness. Because while Bruno focuses on the gold, Tommy focuses on survival. And survival always wins. Then comes another absolutely insane action sequence. Tommy sneaks onto the moving Nazi convoy at night. The atmosphere here is incredible. Dark roads, cold wind, engines roaring through empty wilderness. The soldiers think they're safe. But somewhere in the darkness, Tommy is already among them. One soldier disappears silently. Then another. The movie builds suspense perfectly because the Nazis don't immediately understand what's happening. They only notice missing men, blood trails, strange sounds in the dark, and suddenly panic spreads through the convoy again. Then chaos explodes. Atami attacks with terrifying brutality, gunfire erupts everywhere. Vehicles crash. Bodies fall from moving trucks. One soldier gets dragged into darkness screaming. Another is stabbed before he can even react. And through all the violence, Atami keeps advancing toward Bruno, like an unstoppable force of nature. What makes Sisu review so satisfying is how creative every fight feels. The movie constantly surprises you with new ways Atami adapts and survives. Nothing feels repetitive. Every encounter feels more dangerous than the last. But then everything suddenly goes wrong again. Bruno manages to escape with the gold and some remaining soldiers. Atami gets severely wounded during the attack. This time the injuries look serious. Really serious. For the first time, even the audience starts wondering, can he actually survive this? Atami collapses alone in the freezing wilderness as the Nazis disappear into the distance. The gold is slipping away. The enemy is escaping, and his body is finally reaching its limit. But then, we see his hands slowly move. And trust me, what happens next will shock you, because in the next part of this Sisu full story explained, Atami turns the entire wilderness into a death trap for the remaining Nazis. Atami should be dead. After everything he's survived, explosions, bullets, drowning, torture, no human body should still be functioning. But somehow, he gets back up again, bleeding, broken, barely able to stand. And yet his eyes still burn with the same terrifying determination. This is the moment where Sisu fully embraces its legend-like storytelling. Because Atami no longer feels like just a man surviving war. He feels like war itself coming to collect a debt. The freezing wilderness around him looks almost apocalyptic now. Burned trees, destroyed roads, smoke drifting across the sky. The movie constantly reminds us that World War II is ending, but evil men are still trying to escape justice. And Bruno Helldorf is one of them. Meanwhile, Bruno's remaining convoy keeps moving towards safety with the stolen gold. But nobody inside those vehicles feels safe anymore. The soldiers are exhausted, terrified. Every sound outside makes them nervous. One man even says they should throw away the gold and leave. But Bruno refuses immediately. That gold is the only future he has left. Without it, he's just another defeated Nazi waiting for punishment. And this is where things get interesting. Both men are chasing survival, but in completely different ways. Atami fights to protect the little piece he still believes in. Bruno fights to escape consequences. That difference gives the story emotional weight beyond just action scenes. Soon, the convoy reaches another dangerous stretch of wilderness filled with wreckage and abandoned war equipment. The environment itself starts feeling like a battlefield haunted by ghosts. And somewhere nearby, Atami is already hunting them again. The tension becomes unbearable because the movie slows everything down. No music. Just engines. Footsteps. Then suddenly, one of the Nazi vehicles explodes. The blast lights up the darkness. Soldiers scream. Chaos erupts instantly. Bruno realizes the nightmare has returned. Atami has started using leftover explosives and traps hidden throughout the terrain. Every road becomes dangerous. Every object could kill them. The Nazis are no longer soldiers here. Their prey. One terrifying sequence shows a soldier stepping into what seems like safe ground. The explosion tears through the convoy. Vehicles crash into each other. Men catch fire. And through the smoke, Atami appears like a phantom. Silent, covered in dirt and blood. Still coming forward. This is why the full movie breakdown of Sisu became so popular online. The action scenes don't just rely on guns and explosions. They build fear, The Nazis slowly realize they can't predict him anymore, and fear destroys discipline faster than bullets. Meanwhile, the women prisoners begin secretly watching Tommy's attacks from inside their transport vehicle. At first, they're shocked, then inspired, because for the first time, the Nazis look vulnerable. Human. One woman especially notices how Bruno's confidence is starting to crack. His men don't trust him anymore. Some openly panic. Others hesitate to follow orders. And that loss of control makes Bruno even more dangerous. But here's the twist. Tommy isn't only fighting soldiers now. He's fighting time. The war is ending fast. If Bruno escapes across the border with the gold, he may disappear forever. So Tommy pushes himself harder despite his injuries. And honestly, some of the scenes become painful to watch. You can hear his breathing getting heavier, see blood soaking through his clothes, feel the exhaustion in every movement. But he refuses to stop. That's the true meaning behind Sisu. Continuing forward even when your body is completely destroyed. And then the movie delivers one of its most suspenseful moments. Tommy secretly boards the convoy again. This time, he hides underneath one of the vehicles while it moves through the wilderness. The scene is incredibly tense. Metal scraping against rocks. Wheels inches from crushing him. Soldiers talking above him without realizing death is literally beneath their feet. Then everything changes. Tommy attacks from below like a demon rising from hell. A soldier is pulled under the vehicle screaming. Another gets stabbed through the floor. Gunfire erupts everywhere as confusion spreads through the convoy. Nobody knows where the attacks are coming from. And this is where things get interesting. The movie uses chaos brilliantly. Unlike many action films where heroes control every situation perfectly, Tommy's fights feel messy and unpredictable. Sometimes he barely survives. Sometimes luck helps him. Sometimes pure willpower carries him forward. That realism makes the violence feel even more intense. But then, disaster strikes again. During the attack, Tommy is finally cornered by multiple soldiers. Machine guns fire relentlessly. Explosions tear through the area. And this time, Bruno personally makes sure Tommy falls. The old warrior crashes down into a deep pit surrounded by wreckage and fire. The Nazis stare down, convinced nobody could survive that fall. Finally, maybe it's over. Bruno even smiles for the first time in a while. He orders the convoy forward immediately. No checking bodies. No waiting. He just wants distance between himself and the nightmare. But he makes one fatal mistake. He never confirms the kill. And in movies like Sisu Explained, that always comes back to haunt people. As the convoy disappears into the horizon, the camera slowly moves back toward the burning pit. Everything is silent. Smoke fills the air. Nothing moves. A bloody hand rises from the wreckage. Tommy is still alive. And now, there's almost nothing human left in him anymore. In the next part of this Sisu review and movie explanation in English, the hunt becomes even more brutal as Tommy unleashes absolute chaos on Bruno's remaining forces. At this point in Sisu, the Nazis are no longer chasing Tommy. They're trying to survive him. And honestly, that change makes the movie even more satisfying, because the hunter has officially become the hunted. The film opens this section with silence again. Smoke rises from the burning wreckage where Tommy supposedly died. The landscape looks dead. Cold wind blows through destroyed metal and scorched earth. Then slowly, a figure emerges from the flames. Tommy, barely standing. His face covered in blood and ash. His clothes torn apart. And yet somehow, his eyes still look focused. Determined. Alive. It's almost terrifying to watch because the movie no longer treats him like a normal action hero. He feels like an unstoppable force powered entirely by willpower. And this is where the full movie breakdown of Sisu becomes deeper than simple revenge. The movie isn't asking whether Atami can survive physically anymore. It's asking how far determination alone can carry a human being. Meanwhile, Bruno's convoy continues racing across the wilderness. But the mood among the soldiers is collapsing completely. Nobody feels safe. Every sound outside makes them panic. One soldier even accidentally fires his weapon out of fear after hearing movement nearby. That's how badly Atami has broken them psychologically. And Bruno knows it. You can see desperation growing inside him now. He screams at his men, threatens them, forces discipline through fear. But fear only works when people believe survival is possible. These soldiers are starting to believe they're already dead. Back in the wilderness, Atami discovers an abandoned aircraft wreck site filled with old supplies and weapons. The moment is important because for the first time in a while, he finally has resources again. He carefully patches his wounds using old medical equipment, and the scene is painful to watch. No dramatic music, no heroic speeches, just raw survival. Every movement hurts him. Every breath feels heavy. But then everything changed. Atami notices something in the distance. The convoy tracks. Bruno is still moving toward the border, still carrying the gold, still alive. And suddenly, Atami forces himself back onto his feet again. That determination is the true heart of Sisu explained. Not revenge, not violence, persistence, the refusal to surrender no matter the cost. Soon, the convoy reaches another dangerous area surrounded by ruined war infrastructure and narrow roads. Perfect terrain for ambushes. And unfortunately for the Nazis, Atami knows exactly how to use it. The next action sequence is absolutely insane. Atami secretly sabotages the road ahead using explosives and wreckage. The convoy drives directly into the trap. The lead vehicle erupts into flames instantly. The explosion flips metal through the air while soldiers scream in panic. Before anyone understands what's happening, Atami attacks. Gunfire tears through the darkness. One Nazi soldier gets dragged out of a truck violently. Another explodes after stepping onto hidden explosives. The chaos feels overwhelming. And that's exactly the point. The movie wants the audience to feel the same fear as the soldiers. Because against Atami, there is no safe direction. One scene becomes especially brutal when a soldier tries hiding beneath a vehicle. He thinks he escaped. Then suddenly, Atami appears underneath with him. The soldier's terrified expression says everything. Seconds later, blood pours across the ground. No escape. No mercy. And this is where things get interesting. The women prisoners finally decide to fight back too. Inspired by the chaos Atami created, they secretly overpower some distracted guards during the confusion. It's a small moment, but an important one. Atami's resistance is spreading. Without speeches, without leadership, just through action. That's powerful storytelling. Meanwhile, Bruno is completely unraveling now. His calm officer image disappears. He's angry all the time, paranoid, obsessed. Every dead soldier pushes him closer to panic. But worst of all, he still can't stop thinking about the gold. Even after all this death, greed still controls him. That obsession becomes almost pathetic, because Atami and Bruno are becoming opposites. One man stripped down to pure survival instinct, the other consumed entirely by selfish ambition. Then the movie delivers another shocking moment. Atami gets caught in a brutal close-range firefight and takes even more damage. Bullets tear through him. He crashes hard against metal debris. For a second, it honestly feels impossible for him to continue. But then, He sees the women prisoners nearby, and something changes in his expression. For the first time in the movie, his fight becomes bigger than gold. Now innocent people are involved directly, and Tommy refuses to let the Nazis escape with them. That emotional shift adds even more weight to the story. This isn't just personal survival anymore. It's justice. But what happens next will shock you. Bruno finally decides to end things permanently. No more convoy. No more slow escape. He orders his remaining soldiers to prepare an aircraft for immediate departure. He plans to fly away with the gold before Tommy can reach him. And suddenly the stakes become even higher. Because if that plane takes off, everything Tommy suffered for may be lost forever. The movie begins racing toward its explosive final act. And in the next part of this Sisu full story explained, Tommy launches one of the craziest attacks in modern action movie history. The moment Bruno decides to escape by plane, the entire movie shifts into pure chaos. Because now there's a countdown. If that aircraft leaves the ground, the Nazis escape with the gold, the prisoners, and their crimes buried behind them forever. And Tommy knows it. No matter how broken his body becomes, he has to stop that plane. This is where Sisu turns into an absolutely relentless survival experience. The movie barely gives the audience time to breathe anymore. Everything feels urgent, dangerous. Meanwhile, Bruno and his remaining soldiers rush toward a remote airfield hidden in the wilderness. The location looks abandoned and lifeless. Destroyed hangars, cold fog rolling across the ground. An old military aircraft waiting like the final escape route out of hell. The surviving Nazis quickly begin loading the stolen gold onto the plane. Every movement feels desperate now. Nobody celebrates anymore. Nobody even talks much. Because deep down, they all know Tommy is still coming. And honestly, that fear is justified. Far away from the airfield, Tommy stumbles through the frozen landscape alone. His body is reaching its limit. Blood stains nearly everything. His breathing sounds painful. At several moments, it feels like he might collapse permanently. But then the movie shows something powerful. Tommy sees traces of destruction left behind by the Nazis. Burned homes, dead civilians, ruined lives. And suddenly you understand why he keeps going. Not for revenge, not even for gold anymore. He refuses to let monsters like Bruno escape without consequences. That's the emotional core hidden underneath all the violence in the full movie breakdown of Sisu. Soon, the women prisoners secretly begin planning their own resistance too. They realize this may be their only chance to survive. One woman quietly steals a weapon from a distracted soldier while others wait for the right moment. The tension inside the prisoner truck becomes unbearable. Nobody knows when chaos will erupt again. But everyone can feel it coming. And then, Tommy finally reaches the airfield. The scene is incredible. The plane engine roars loudly. Soldiers move frantically around crates of gold. Fog covers parts of the runway. And through all that darkness, a single figure walks forward slowly. Tommy. The Nazis spot him almost immediately. Gunfire erupts instantly. Bullets tear through the air from every direction. But Tommy keeps moving, step by step, like pain no longer matters. This moment is honestly one of the coolest scenes in modern action cinema, because the movie fully commits to the legend of this man. The Nazis are terrified now. Some soldiers fire wildly in panic. Others try retreating toward the plane. Nobody wants direct combat anymore. And this is where things get interesting. The women prisoners finally fight back during the confusion. They overpower guards inside the truck and escape into the chaos surrounding the airfield. Suddenly, Bruno's entire operation begins collapsing at once. Explosions, gunfire, screaming, smoke everywhere. The battlefield becomes total madness. Atami uses every object around him as a weapon. Chains, explosives, even wreckage from destroyed vehicles. One Nazi soldier gets crushed violently during the fight. Another is stabbed before he can reload. The movie keeps the action brutal and grounded despite how insane everything becomes. You feel every hit, every injury, every desperate struggle. Meanwhile, Bruno desperately orders the plane prepared faster. He doesn't care about his remaining men anymore. Only the gold. Only escape. That selfishness finally exposes his true nature completely. He was never a leader, just a coward hiding behind power. But then everything changed. Atami reaches the aircraft itself, and the next sequence becomes absolutely unbelievable. As the plane begins moving for takeoff, Atami somehow manages to grab onto it at the last second. The visuals here are incredible. The aircraft speeding across the runway, bullets flying, the freezing wind roaring, and Atami hanging onto the outside like death itself refusing to let go. Inside the plane, Bruno realizes the nightmare followed him on board. Panic spreads instantly. The remaining soldiers try killing Atami before takeoff finishes, but the confined space turns the fight into brutal close-range chaos. Every second feels intense. Atami fights like a man possessed. Not flashy, not clean, pure survival. One soldier gets thrown violently from the aircraft. Another dies during a savage hand-to-hand struggle. Blood covers the inside of the plane as Bruno desperately tries maintaining control. And honestly, this is the moment where Sisu explained reaches peak insanity in the best possible way. Because somehow, despite everything, the movie still feels believable emotionally. You believe Atami would keep going. You believe Bruno would sacrifice everyone for gold. You believe this madness could actually happen inside a collapsing war. But then comes the twist nobody expects. During the fight aboard the aircraft, the gold crates begin shifting dangerously. The plane becomes unstable. Warning alarms start screaming. The aircraft starts losing control. And suddenly, everyone on board realizes they may not survive at all. Not Bruno, not the soldiers, not even Atami. The plane begins spiraling toward disaster. And in the next part of this Sisu movie explanation in English, the final battle explodes into one of the most unforgettable endings in action movie history. The aircraft is falling apart. Warning alarms scream through the cabin. Gold crates slide violently across the floor. Smoke fills the air. And somewhere inside this flying death trap, Atami and Bruno are still trying to kill each other. At this point in Sisu, reality itself starts feeling unstable. Everything has escalated so far beyond normal survival that the movie almost feels mythological now. Like two forces of nature colliding inside a collapsing world. Bruno desperately fights his way toward the cockpit while screaming at the pilot to stabilize the aircraft. But panic has completely taken over. The remaining soldiers barely know what to do anymore. Some try shooting Atami. Others try securing the gold. Nobody is thinking clearly. And that confusion becomes deadly. Because Atami thrives in chaos. One soldier lunges toward him. Seconds later, he's dead. Another tries firing at close range. Atami slams him into the aircraft wall violently. The cramped environment makes every fight feel savage and claustrophobic. No room to escape. No safe corner. Just survival. And this is where things get interesting. The movie quietly shows that Atami isn't fighting with anger anymore. He's calm, focused, almost emotionless. Like he accepted long ago that death could come at any moment. That acceptance makes him terrifying. Meanwhile, Bruno becomes the complete opposite. Desperate, panicked, The more control he loses, the more reckless he becomes. It's actually brilliant storytelling hidden beneath the action. Tommy represents endurance. Bruno represents fear. Soon, the plane suffers even more damage during the fighting. One of the engines catches fire. The aircraft shakes violently. Metal tears apart around them. And suddenly everyone on board realizes the plane may crash before reaching safety. But Bruno still refuses to abandon the gold. Even now, even while death surrounds him, that obsession perfectly explains his character in this full movie breakdown of Sisu. Greed destroyed him long before a Tommy ever appeared. Then comes one of the craziest moments in the entire movie. A massive explosion rips through part of the aircraft during the struggle. The blast tears open the cabin. Wind screams inside violently. Loose objects get sucked toward the opening. Soldiers desperately grab onto anything they can. One Nazi gets pulled screaming into the sky. Another loses his grip and vanishes instantly. The scene is absolute madness. And through all of it, Tommy keeps moving toward Bruno, like nothing else matters. Meanwhile, the women prisoners below watch the damaged plane struggling across the sky. They realize something unbelievable is happening up there. The monster haunting the Nazis has followed them into the air. And honestly, that image alone feels legendary. Back inside the aircraft, Bruno finally confronts Tommy directly. No soldiers left between them. No distractions. Just the two men whose choices shaped the entire story. The tension becomes incredible here because neither man speaks much. They don't need to. Everything is already understood. Bruno fights with desperation. Tommy fights with purpose. And that difference changes everything. The fight becomes brutal. Punches. Blood everywhere. The unstable aircraft throws them against walls and metal crates while alarms continue screaming. At several moments, it feels like both men might die together. And maybe that's exactly what Bruno wants now. If he can't escape with the gold, nobody will. But then everything changed. The aircraft finally loses complete control. The plane begins crashing toward the ground at terrifying speed. Inside the cabin, chaos erupts instantly. Bruno desperately grabs the gold. Tommy braces for impact. And seconds later, the plane crashes violently into the wilderness. The explosion is massive. Fire tears across the frozen landscape. Metal scatters everywhere. For a long moment, everything becomes silent. No movement, no sound except burning wreckage. And honestly, the movie makes you wonder if this is finally the end. Could anyone survive that crash? The answer comes slowly, painfully. A hand moves beneath the wreckage. Then another. Tommy crawls out of the burning debris once again. Barely alive, but alive. It's almost unbelievable now. Even the audience starts questioning whether this man is human anymore. But here's the twist. Bruno survived too. Injured badly, covered in blood, still clutching pieces of gold like a dying man refusing to let go of greed. The final confrontation is coming. No armies, no vehicles, no escape routes left. Just two broken survivors standing among the ashes of war. And this is where Sisu Explained becomes more than just action entertainment. Because now the movie strips everything away. No Nazis hiding behind power. No war machines. No soldiers. Just the truth of who these men really are. One fights for survival and justice. The other fights for greed until the very end. And trust me, what happens next will shock you. Because in the next part of this Sisu review and full story explained, Tommy delivers one of the most satisfying revenge endings in modern cinema. The burning wreckage lights up the frozen wilderness like the end of the world. Metal crackles in the fire. Smoke fills the sky. Bodies lie scattered across the crash site. and standing among the destruction are the last two survivors, Atami Korpi and Bruno Heldorf. At this point in Sisu, the war around them almost disappears. The movie becomes deeply personal now. No more armies, no more missions, just two men shaped completely differently by violence. Tommy stands barely upright. Every step looks painful. His body is covered in burns, blood, and wounds that should have killed him hours ago. But his eyes? Still focused, still calm, still moving forward. Meanwhile, Bruno looks completely broken psychologically. Gone is the arrogant Nazi officer from the beginning of the film. Now he's just a terrified man clutching gold while surrounded by death. And honestly, that transformation is one of the smartest parts of the full movie breakdown of Sisu. The movie slowly strips Bruno of every illusion of power. Without soldiers, weapons, or authority. He's weak, cowardly, pathetic. But here's the twist. Even now, Bruno refuses to let go of the gold. That greed controls him until the very last second. He desperately gathers whatever gold he can carry from the wreckage while trying to escape through the burning debris. Atami watches silently, then begins following him. Slowly, like death itself walking closer. The scene becomes incredibly tense because there's almost no dialogue. Just footsteps, fire, heavy breathing, and somehow that silence says more than words ever could. Bruno finally notices Atami behind him again, and pure fear crosses his face. Not anger anymore, because deep down he finally understands the truth. There was never any escaping this man. The final chase through the wreckage feels almost symbolic. Bruno drags himself forward, trying to protect gold that no longer matters. Atami keeps advancing despite unbearable pain because stopping evil matters more to him than survival itself. Atami survived war without becoming like the Nazis. That's what makes him different. Soon, Bruno reaches a damaged military vehicle near the crash site and desperately tries escaping one final time. He fires wildly toward Atami while backing away in panic. But his hands shake now. His confidence is gone. Every shot feels desperate. Meanwhile, Atami keeps moving forward calmly through bullets and smoke. It's honestly terrifying. Like nothing can stop him anymore. And this is where things get interesting. The movie quietly reveals its real message. Sisu isn't about being unbeatable. It's about refusing to surrender your humanity when the world becomes cruel. Then comes the moment the entire movie has been building toward. Bruno attacks Atami directly in one final brutal fight. No strategy left. No soldiers. Just rage and desperation. The fight feels ugly and exhausting. Both men are barely standing. Every hit looks painful. But there's a huge difference between them now. Bruno fights because he's afraid to lose. Atami fights because he already accepted suffering long ago. And that mental difference changes everything. Eventually, Atami completely overpowers him. The Nazi officer who once commanded entire convoys now looks helpless, broken, defeated, and honestly, the scene feels incredibly satisfying after everything we watched. But then the movie does something smart. Atami doesn't deliver a dramatic speech. He doesn't scream revenge. He simply ends the fight. Cold, direct, final. The war criminal who destroyed lives across Finland dies surrounded by burning gold he could never truly keep. And just like that, the nightmare finally ends. For the first time in the entire movie, silence feels peaceful instead of threatening. The surviving women prisoners slowly approach the crash site carefully. When they see Bruno dead, relief washes over them immediately. The fear controlling them for so long is finally gone. And standing nearby is Atami. Still alive somehow. Still standing somehow. The women look at him almost like they're seeing a ghost. And honestly, maybe they are. Because no ordinary man could survive what he survived. But what makes Sisu Explained so powerful isn't just the action. It's what Atami represents. Persistence. Endurance. The refusal to let evil win no matter how painful the fight becomes. Then comes one of the movie's most emotional moments. One of the women quietly thanks him. Atami barely responds. Not because he's cold, but because after years of war, words probably don't mean much anymore. The movie understands something important. Some people become too damaged by violence to explain themselves fully. And that silence makes Atami feel even more real. But here's the twist. The story still isn't over. Because despite surviving impossible horrors, Atami still has one final goal left. The gold. The thing that started this entire nightmare. And in the next part of this Sisu movie explanation in English, Atami finally reaches civilization. But even there, the legend of the immortal soldier is only beginning. After surviving explosions, torture, drowning, plane crashes, and an entire Nazi convoy, Atami Corpi finally reaches civilization. But honestly, he no longer looks human. Covered in blood, burnt, barely able to walk, dragging bags of gold through the ruins of a collapsing world. The opening moments of this section in Sisu feel strangely peaceful compared to the chaos before. No gunfire, no screaming, just silence. The kind of silence that only comes after unimaginable violence. Atami slowly travels toward a nearby town, carrying the gold that cost so many lives. And for the first time in the entire movie, there are no enemies left chasing him. That alone feels almost surreal. The war is ending. The Nazis are collapsing. And the nightmare across Finland is finally dying with them. But the movie still keeps tension alive brilliantly. Because even though the fighting is over, Atami himself is barely alive. Every step looks painful. At several moments, it feels like his body could finally give up at any second. And this is where the full movie breakdown of Sisu becomes surprisingly emotional. Underneath all the brutal action, the story has always been about survival after trauma. Atami isn't just wounded physically. He's carrying years of war inside him. Plus, violence, isolation. You can feel it in every quiet moment. Soon, Atami finally arrives at a small bank in town. The contrast is almost shocking. Inside the building, life feels normal. People working, talking quietly, counting money. Nobody there understands the nightmare this man just walked through to reach them. Then the doors open, and Atami enters carrying sacks filled with gold. Everyone freezes. The workers stare at him in stunned silence. Because standing before them looks less like a customer, and more like a survivor crawling out of hell. One banker cautiously examines the gold and realizes immediately that it's real. An enormous fortune, enough to change a life forever. But here's the twist. Atami doesn't smile, doesn't celebrate, doesn't even seem excited. That detail says everything about his character. The gold was never truly about greed. It represented peace, freedom from war, a future beyond violence. And honestly, that makes the ending of Sisu Explained far deeper than most action movies. While the bankers process the gold, they quietly ask him questions. Where did he get it? What happened to him? How did he survive? Atami barely answers. Because how could he possibly explain any of it? How do you describe becoming a legend people whisper about in fear? Meanwhile, newspapers and reports begin spreading news about Germany's collapse and the end of the war. The world is changing around him. For years, violence defined everything. Now suddenly, it's over. That emotional shift hits surprisingly hard. Because what happens to men like Atami after war ends? Can someone who survived that much horror ever truly live normally again? The movie never gives a direct answer. And honestly, that ambiguity makes it even better. Then comes a small but powerful moment. Tommy notices a young boy staring at him with amazement. Not fear, admiration. The child sees a wounded old man carrying treasure through impossible hardship, almost like a hero from legend. And maybe that's exactly what Tommy became. Not because he wanted glory, but because he refused to surrender. And this is where things get interesting. The movie's title finally feels fully understood. Sisu isn't just physical toughness. It's the ability to keep moving forward when the world gives you every reason to quit. That's why audiences connected so strongly with this film around the world. The action is incredible, but emotionally, the story speaks to something universal. Persistence, human endurance, the refusal to break. Soon, Tommy finally receives payment for the gold. Stacks of money. Enough to begin a new life far away from war. And yet even during this moment, the movie keeps him quiet, reserved, almost emotionally distant. Because some scars never disappear completely. The banker asks him one final question before he leaves. What are you going to do now? Tommy pauses. Then simply says he plans to buy new mining equipment and a new dog. That tiny line hits surprisingly hard, because after everything he endured, all he wants is peace. No revenge, no fame, no celebration, just another chance to live quietly. And honestly, that simple ending makes the entire journey even more powerful. But the story still has deeper meanings hidden beneath the surface. Because in the next part of this Sisu review and movie explanation in English, we'll break down the hidden themes, symbolism, and why Tommy became one of the most unforgettable action heroes in recent cinema history. Now that the gunfire is gone and the gold has been exchanged for money, Sisu shifts into something deeper, something quieter. Because the Real story was never just about Nazis or gold. It was about what war does to a human being. Tommy Corpy doesn't feel like a traditional action hero anymore. He feels like a man who survived something no one was meant to survive, and came out the other side carrying it inside him forever. And this is where the hidden meaning of the film starts to surface. The word Sisu itself becomes the key to everything. It represents extreme determination in the face of impossible odds. Not confidence, not anger. Something deeper, almost stubbornly spiritual. A refusal to break, even when every logical outcome says you should. That's Tommy. He doesn't win because he is invincible. He wins because he simply refuses to stop. Even when his body is destroyed. Even when logic says he should be dead 10 times over. And that makes the movie explanation in English far more meaningful than just a man kills Nazis and survives. Because every action scene is actually built around one idea. How far can human endurance go before it becomes something else? Meanwhile, Bruno represents the opposite force. He is not driven by survival. He is driven by greed and fear. And those two emotions slowly destroy him. At the beginning of Sisu, Bruno has power, authority, soldiers, weapons. By the end, he has nothing but gold in his hands and terror in his eyes. That contrast is intentional. It shows that violence without purpose always collapses inward. But Tommy's violence has structure. It's not random. It's survival. It's protection. It's resistance. And that difference is what separates them completely. Another hidden layer of the film is how it portrays silence. Tommy barely speaks throughout the entire story. At first, it feels like a simple creative choice. But later, you realize something deeper. He doesn't need words anymore. War took them away. Or maybe survival made them unnecessary. Every emotion he has is communicated through action. That's why his character feels almost mythical. Not because he is superhuman, but because he is stripped of everything unnecessary. Only instinct remains. And that makes him unpredictable. The film also subtly shows how war turns ordinary landscapes into psychological traps. Forests become hiding places. Rivers become escape routes. Ruins become memory markers of death. Nothing feels safe anymore. That's why every environment in the movie feels like a character itself. It constantly shapes the action. Another important theme is greed versus endurance. The gold is symbolic. At first, it represents hope for Atami, a way out of suffering. But for Bruno, it becomes obsession. And that obsession destroys him. Because while Atami is willing to abandon gold to survive, Bruno is willing to abandon survival to keep gold. That difference defines their fate. And this is where things get interesting. The movie never glorifies violence as victory. Every fight leaves Atami more broken, more exhausted, more human. He is not rewarded with strength. He is rewarded with survival. And survival itself is the cost. Even the final peaceful moments carry emotional weight. Because Atami doesn't walk away untouched. He walks away changed. Forever marked by what he had to become in order to survive. The world moves on. War ends. Life continues. But for him, nothing is ever truly normal again. That's one of the most powerful hidden messages in Sisu Explained. Survival doesn't mean healing. It just means continuing. And sometimes, continuing is the hardest part. There's also a subtle emotional contrast in how the film treats violence and peace. Violence is fast, loud, chaotic. Peace is quiet, slow, almost uncomfortable for someone like Atami. Because when your entire identity is built on surviving chaos, silence can feel unfamiliar, even dangerous. And that makes the ending feel bittersweet instead of purely happy. Atami gets money, freedom, a future, but not full restoration. Because war never fully leaves someone like him. And in the next part of this Sisu review and final breakdown, we'll explore the final verdict, audience reaction, and why this movie became one of the most brutal and unforgettable survival action films of recent years. Now we reach the deeper emotional core of Sisu, the part where the violence fades, and what's left is meaning. Because by this stage, the story is no longer asking, can Atami survive? It's asking something much heavier. What does survival actually cost a human being? Atami Korpi has lived through what most soldiers would call multiple lifetimes of war. And yet he's still standing. But not unchanged. Never unchanged. Every injury he takes throughout the film isn't just physical damage. It's a reminder that survival in this world is never clean or painless. Even when he wins, he loses something. That's one of the strongest hidden messages in Sisu Explained. Victory here is not glory. It's endurance. It's continuation. It's simply not dying. And that reframes everything we've watched so far. Because Atami is not a fantasy superhero. He is a man pushed beyond psychological limits who has learned to function inside chaos. The film also quietly explores how identity gets rebuilt through trauma. Before the war, Atami likely had a normal life. A name that meant nothing extraordinary. But war reshaped him into something else entirely. The legend of the immortal soldier isn't something he asked for. It's something created by survival itself. And that idea makes the story feel almost mythological. Like ancient folklore disguised as a modern action film. Meanwhile, Bruno represents something very different. He is what happens when survival is replaced by obsession. He doesn't evolve through hardship. He collapses under it. As the film progresses, he loses everything that once gave him authority. Discipline, control, fear from others' strategic thinking. What remains is pure desperation. And that desperation is what destroys him. This contrast is intentional throughout the full movie breakdown of Sisu. Tommila adapts. Bruno deteriorates. Another important layer is how the film treats violence differently from traditional war movies. There is no celebration of killing, no heroic music praising destruction. Instead, violence is shown as exhausting, heavy, almost mechanical. Every fight takes something away from Tommila, even when he wins. That's why the action feels different from typical Hollywood war films. It's not about dominance. It's about persistence under pressure. And then there's the emotional silence of Tommila. He barely speaks, but that silence isn't emptiness. It's compression. Everything he feels is buried under years of experience that cannot be expressed normally anymore. That's why even simple moments, like walking through ruins or standing still, feel loaded with emotion, because you can sense what he's holding inside. The film also uses the environment as emotional storytelling. Burned villages represent loss. Open wilderness represents isolation. Battlefields represent memory. Every location carries emotional weight, even without dialogue. And that makes the world feel alive in a haunting way. But here's the most important takeaway. The gold is never the real treasure. It's just the trigger. A symbolic object that forces every character to reveal who they truly are. For Tommila, it becomes a burden he must protect. For Bruno, it becomes an addiction that blinds him. And that difference defines the entire story. Another subtle theme is control versus chaos. Bruno constantly tries to control everything. His men, the mission, the goal, the outcome. But everything he tries to control collapses. Tommila, on the other hand, accepts chaos. He moves through it instead of resisting it. And that acceptance is what keeps him alive. That's why his survival feels almost unnatural. Not because he is invincible, but because he is adaptable beyond normal limits. And this is where things get interesting. The film quietly suggests that the true power isn't strength or weapons. It's the ability to continue when everything else has already failed. That's the essence of Sisu. Not victory. Endurance. Not dominance. Persistence. As the story moves toward its conclusion, all these themes begin to merge. Survival becomes philosophy. Action becomes meaning. And Tommila becomes less of a character and more of a symbol. A symbol of refusing to break, even when everything around you demands it. And in the final part of this Sisu review and breakdown, we'll give the final verdict, audience reaction, and why this film stands out as one of the most brutally satisfying survival action movies ever made. At this point, everything in Sisu has already been stripped down to its core. No more armies. No more chases. No more chaos. Just the aftershock of everything that came before it. And that's exactly where the film delivers its final thematic punch. Because the ending isn't really about who wins anymore. It's about what survives inside a person after they've already won too many impossible battles. Tommila Corpi stands as a contradiction. A man who should be dead multiple times over. A man who keeps surviving not because of luck, but because he refuses to stop moving forward. And that's where the hidden philosophy of the film becomes clearer. The movie isn't saying violence is heroic. It's saying endurance is unavoidable. Life will push you into chaos. And sometimes the only option is to keep going through it. That's Sisu. But the film also makes it painfully clear that survival is not clean. Tommila does not come out of this story healed. He comes out damaged but functioning. That distinction is important, because most action films end with triumph. This one ends with continuation. There is no full restoration. only persistence. Meanwhile, Bruno Heldorf represents the opposite lesson. He had structure, authority, and power at the beginning of the story. But every decision he makes is driven by greed and fear. And those two forces slowly erase everything he once was. By the end, he is not a commander anymore. Not even a soldier. Just a desperate man trying to escape consequences that have already caught up with him. That contrast is one of the strongest elements in the full movie breakdown of Sisu. It shows two different responses to the same collapsing world. One man adapts and endures, the other clings and collapses. And the world only rewards one of them. Another key takeaway is how the film redefines the idea of a hero. Atami doesn't save the world in a traditional sense. He doesn't lead armies or inspire speeches. He simply removes threats in his path and keeps moving forward. That makes him feel closer to a survival force than a traditional protagonist. Almost like nature itself responding to violence. Not good, not evil, just unstoppable resistance. The film also uses its brutality very deliberately. Every violent moment serves a narrative purpose. To show cost, to show exhaustion, to show persistence under pressure. Nothing feels meaningless. Even the most extreme scenes reinforce the idea that survival is not elegant. It's messy, painful, and exhausting. And that's what makes the film stick with viewers long after it ends. Because it doesn't romanticize war. It shows its aftermath. Another subtle idea is the transformation of myth. By the end of the story, Atami is no longer just a man in the narrative. He becomes a legend told through fear and survival stories. And that's how myths are born in history. Not through glory, but through repeated survival against impossible odds. And this is where things get interesting. The film suggests that legends are not created by victories. They are created by endurance that others cannot explain. That's why Atami feels almost supernatural to the people around him. Not because the film confirms he is, but because human logic struggles to accept someone surviving that much chaos. Finally, the emotional tone of the ending is deliberately restrained. There is no grand celebration, no emotional breakdown, no dramatic closure, just quiet continuation. A man walking forward after everything is over. That simplicity is what gives the ending its power. Because real survival rarely feels cinematic. It feels quiet, uneasy, incomplete. And in that sense, Sisu delivers something rare in modern action cinema. A story that doesn't end with victory, but with persistence. And that leads perfectly into the final verdict. In the last part of this breakdown, we'll cover the full review, audience reaction, and why this movie became one of the most unforgettable survival action films in recent years. Now we arrive at the final verdict of Sisu, and by this point, one thing is clear. This isn't just a movie you watch. It's a movie you endure. From the first explosion to the final silence, the film builds one consistent idea. Survival is not beautiful, and it's definitely not clean. It's brutal, relentless, and sometimes almost unbelievable. But that's exactly why it works. Final review. Sisu is one of the most unique modern action films because it strips everything down to instinct. No overcomplicated plot. No unnecessary dialogue. No emotional distractions that slow down the tension. Instead, it focuses on one man, Atami Korpi, and pushes him through impossible situations just to test how far human endurance can really go. And the answer the film gives is simple. Farther than logic allows. The action sequences are not just violent. They're creative, unpredictable, and constantly evolving. Every encounter feels different. Mines turning into traps, wilderness becoming a weapon, vehicles becoming battlegrounds, even silence becoming tension. This is why the full movie breakdown of Sisu stands out in the action genre. It doesn't rely on spectacle alone. It builds atmosphere first, then destroys it. Cinematic strength. The biggest strength of the film is its tone control. It switches between silence that builds fear, sudden bursts of extreme violence, long stretches of survival tension, minimal dialogue, storytelling. That combination keeps viewers constantly locked in. You never feel comfortable. And that's intentional, because comfort doesn't exist in this world. Character impact. Tommy Corpy is not a traditional hero. He's not designed to be admired in a typical sense. He's designed to represent something larger. Endurance under impossible conditions. He is the physical embodiment of Sisu, the refusal to quit no matter what. Bruno, on the other hand, represents collapse. Control turning into desperation. Together, they form a perfect contrast between survival and self-destruction. Audience reaction. Viewers reacted strongly to the film because it feels different from modern war and action movies. Some call it John Wick in World War II. Pure survival cinema, one of the most brutal action films ever made. And while comparisons help, the truth is simpler. It stands on its own. It's not trying to copy anything. It's trying to test limits. Final thoughts. If you came for action, you get it. If you came for story, you still get it. But what stays with you after watching is something deeper. The idea that human beings can continue far beyond what seems possible if they refuse to stop. That's the real meaning behind Sisu. Not violence. Not revenge. Persistence. Outro. So what do you think? Was Tommy Corpy unstoppable because of skill or because of pure willpower? And do you think anyone else could survive what he survived? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this full movie explanation, breakdown, and review, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more cinematic stories just like this. Because some movies don't just entertain, they stay with you. And this one definitely does.